because it was a little girl and you can dress her up and she hardly didn't have any hair. And I remember I always used to put like a rubber band right on top of her head and a ribbon. And your grandpa would always get upset because I would do that because he said it would hurt. It was probably hurting the baby's scalp because you put a rubber band in. She was only probably 7 months. The few hairs she had, I used to put in like a ponytail, but right here, right in the top.
Mm-hmm.
And but I enjoyed it, because enjoyed it having a little girl. I had never, like I tell you, I always wanted a boy because I always thought a boy should be the oldest one. But afterwards, I got that out of my head. And then with Mark, when I had Mark, I mean, it didn't. I learned that boys are a little bit different than girls. So I never really had. I mean, I enjoyed having him too, but in a way, sometimes it would kind of get a little frustrated because I guess I had two babies. Your mom was still, like I tell you, she had just barely started walking, but once she started walking, it was fine. But with Mark, it was like they were all really good babies. I mean, they weren't cry babies like at night or even in the daytime. So I was more like I enjoyed staying home with them. I had never thought about going out to work, even as they got older.
Mm-hmm.
I always wanted to be a mom, and I always felt like, and your grandpa agreed that I really shouldn't work because they were small and they needed more of their mom than having them with somebody, taking care of them. You have to
Mm-hmm.
find somebody that you can trust, that they can be good with them, feed them, and clean them up, and all that. And so he never told me, oh, I want you to go to work. I think I mentioned it one time when we first got married. I told him, you want me to go because at work I just told him I was going to leave for 2 weeks and I would be back to work, and I never did go back. But I
Mm-hmm.
knew they would hire me. And your dad said, no, I would prefer for you to stay home, especially we have a family, and we did right away. So I never really thought about going and leaving my kids. I enjoyed being home with them, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Were they so close together that were you breastfeeding them both at the same
I
time?
never did, none of them.
Oh,
I
you
never
never
did.
breastfed?
No,
What
I
was the
never did.
reason because of that?
I don't know, during those days, well, there were quite a few ladies, but really the doctor never really told me to, or I never heard anybody really telling me that it's better for them to get breastfed than. So I just, like I tell you, I never thought about having, what it was like to have a baby and that you had to, it
Mm-hmm.
was good for them to be breastfed or nothing like that was ever said, or even the doctor never mentioned it to me.
Did your mom or grandpa's
No,
mom ever talk about it or anything like that?
no,
No.
they never did. No.
Do you know if they ever breastfed?
I I don't know, to tell you the truth. They never said anything like that. I know his Margie didn't with Pizzi that I know of. She never mentioned it either.
Mm.
So that was something like nobody really
Did,
talked about it
did
or
did
said.
you and your mom ever talk about motherhood like in
No,
the beginning?
mm-mm,
Never.
no, my mom never told us. I mean, that what to expect when you had a baby, or what was it like to go into delivery, or you know she
Mm-hmm.
never did. You know, even to my sisters, she never did that.
Did you ever talk to my mom about it before she got pregnant?
No, I don't think I did because I don't know, I just thought she would assume, like I did, that to learn. But my mom would always tell us, my mom would just say, oh, don't ever, let a boy, how did she put the words? She wouldn't come out and say it to have sex or anything like that, but any boy that tries to get under your skirt, they're not good for you. You'll end up, having a baby. That was like kind
Mm.
of scary for us when we grew up. That's the way my mom was. And oh, your dad would have a fit, so none of you girls better come out pregnant because during those days there were too many girls that got pregnant. There were a few at school.
What was this? What years was this? Was it like the
God,
50s?
this was in the 50s, late 50s, when I was, a teenager, when I went to high school. They didn't talk about that. They would whisper, oh, this girl doesn't take her coat off because she's pregnant from her boyfriend. But that was all.
Mm.
Or they would send them far out to LA to have a baby and then come back like they were with visiting a relative or whatever. That
Mm.
was the way. It wasn't like nowadays you hear so many girls want to, or have 2 kids and not married. It wasn't like that. Yeah, a boy is going to respect you as long as you respect yourself. That's what my mom would say.
Interesting.
Uh-huh.
Well, so you talked a bit about never wanting a job and just wanting to be a mom.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever feel like being a mom was a job though?